Hi readers, welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads, and welcome to an author spotlight on an author I've never read before, and that author is Elizabeth Strout. How did I get here talking about an author? Really, I'm talking about her books, but I got here because of the Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist, and one of the books on the 2025 shortlist is Strout's Tell Me Everything. But it is like the most recent in the Amgosh series of hers, and I haven't read all the other books, so I've had to really hold myself back from buying that one because I feel like I should read that series in order. And I've been going back and forth on what to read next. And also, I have two places that in my mind I would love to live, but I know that in my body I am not equipped to live there. One of those places is Alaska. After I read Kristen Hanna's The Great Alone, I thought I could do that. And my mind was like, no, sister, you cannot. And the other place is Maine. I have people that I work with who work and live in Maine, and a week or two ago they got like 6 inches of snow. Meanwhile, it was in the mid-70s here. So I can't drive in snow, but I have this idealized vision of Maine in my head because probably Stephen King, Janet Chapman, who's one of my favorite romance authors. Sadly, she passed away, I think, in 2017. And then probably also, my mom used to make us watch Murder, She Wrote, which was filmed in California, but set in the fictional town of Cabot Cove, Maine. So, and I've read many other books set in Maine throughout the years, so I have this idealized version of it, and I will buy anything set in Maine, almost anything. But let's get to it. So, what I am probably going to read next is Olive Kitteridge by Elizabeth Strout. Funny, I believe a work colleague who lives here recommended the TV series to me years ago, and I found it too depressing. I also put down a book that I found too depressing back then. I was a different kind of reader then than I am now. So Olive Kitteridge, let me get back to the point. Olive Kitteridge won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 2009. This is a novel told in stories, and I have some trepidation about that. When I was looking it up on Goodreads, there was a 5-star read and a 1-star read back to back. So I could probably be in either of those places. I did start watching the show just a few minutes ago while I was pretending like I was supposed to be, like I was pretending I was about to do chores and I was not about to do chores. Anyway, so this time I didn't feel it as depressing, but again, I've changed. I think this was like 2016, 2017. I'm not sure when the show came out. And maybe it was another show entirely. Anywho, let's talk about Olive Kitteridge. At times stern, at other times patient, at times perceptive, at other times in sad denial, Olive Kitteridge, a retired schoolteacher, deplores the changes in her little town of Crosby, Maine, and in the world at large, but she doesn't always recognize the changes in those around her. A lounge musician haunted by a past romance, a former student who's lost the will to live, Olive's own adult child who feels tyrannized by her irrational sensitivities, and her husband, Henry, who finds his loyalty to his marriage both a blessing and a curse. As the townspeople grapple with their problems, mild and dire, sometimes Olive is brought to a deeper understanding of herself and her life, sometimes painfully, but always with ruthless honesty. So, I am currently reading Horns by Joe Hill, and I think that's set in Maine. He mentions Derry. Joe Hill is Stephen King's son, so there's the Maine connection. And I'm thinking I might want to stay in Maine next and read Olive Kitteridge. I'd consider it a different journey, but when I get to it, I'll tell you why I chose not to do that journey. Next up is Olive Again by Elizabeth Strout. This also seems to be a novel in stories because each chapter has a different heading. This was named one of the best books of the year by NPR, Time, Vogue, People, The Washington Post, The Chicago Tribune, Esquire, Vanity Fair, etc., etc., etc. This was published in 2019. This is a 2020 paperback edition. Prickly, wry, resistant to change, yet ruthlessly honest and deeply empathetic, Olive Kitteridge is a compelling life force, says the San Francisco Chronicle. The New Yorker said that Elizabeth Strout animates the ordinary with an astonishing force. And she has never done so more clearly than in these pages, where the iconic Olive struggles to understand not only her own life, but the lives of people around her in the town of Crosby, Maine. I wonder if Crosby is a fictional town or a real town. I didn't think to look that up before. Whether interacting with a teenager coming to terms with the loss of her father, a young woman about to give birth at a hilariously inopportune moment, a nurse who confesses a secret high school crush, or a lawyer who struggles with an inheritance she does not want to accept, the unforgettable Olive will continue to startle us, to move us, and to inspire moments of transcendent grace. So this was like 10 years after Olive Kitteridge won the Pulitzer Prize. I probably will not binge these back to back because I tend to burn out that way. I did have an Abby Jimenez binge last month, and that was because I had a cold, and those were easy, fast reads, and I did not burn out. The next book, and I've had this book for a while. I think I bought it before I bought Olive Kitteridge, and this is not a book haul, by the way. These are all books that I bought prior to. I did not go out and buy these for this video. I almost went out and bought her first novel, Amy and Isabel, and if I like these books, I will probably go back. Because Amy and Isabel has a connection to the Burgess boys. And this is the first one I picked up by her. I just hadn't gotten around to reading it. Haunted by the freak accident that killed their father when they were children, Jim and Bob Burgess escaped from their Maine hometown of Shirley Falls for New York City as soon as they possibly could. Jim, a successful corporate lawyer, has belittled his big-hearted brother their whole lives, and Bob, a legal aid attorney who idolizes Jim, has always taken it in stride. But their long-standing dynamic is upended when their sister, Susan, the Burgess sibling who stayed behind, urgently calls them home, where the long-buried tensions that have shaped and shadowed the brothers' relationship begin to surface in unexpected ways that will change them forever. Okay, now we come to the first book in the Gosh series. I think I bought this because it was... Nope, I don't know why I bought this. I wanted more Elizabeth Strout, and I hadn't even read anything that I have. Or it might be because Tell Me Everything was coming out, and I knew I needed to read this. So this is the first book in that Gosh series. There are like 3 or 4 other books before you get to Tell Me Everything. And I've considered starting with My Name is Lucy Barton, but I really think I want to read Olive Kitteridge first, just so I kind of get a taste of who she is and the Pulitzer Prize winning book. Lucy Barton is recovering slowly from what should have been a simple operation. Her mother, to whom she hasn't spoken for many years, comes to see her. Gentle gossip about people from Lucy's childhood in Gosh, Illinois, so this is why I probably won't start with this. It's not set in Maine. It's in Illinois. Did I say Illinois? Illinois seems to reconnect them, but just below the surface lie the tension and longing that have informed every aspect of Lucy's life. Her escape from her troubled family, her desire to become a writer, her marriage, her love for her two daughters. Knitting this powerful narrative together is the brilliant storytelling voice of Lucy herself, keenly observant, deeply human, and truly unforgettable. So one thing I like about this is it's got larger font than Olive Kitteridge, which has really small font. Why is there... Oh, that's a coupon for the cafe at Barnes & Noble. Anywho, so, like I said, I'm currently reading Horns by Joe Hill, and I'm watching Olive Kitteridge on HBO Max, so I think the next journey I take in my reading journey this week is going to be Olive Kitteridge. I hope that I really enjoy it. This is a Pulitzer Prize winning book. I actually last week read a book from my Booker Prize project, The English Patient. I've noticed that there are different feels for the books. Some Lonesome Dove was a really great slow read. The English Patient was slow as well, and I'm not sure how to describe the difference. Anywho, this was probably fast and furious, only 4 books to talk about, and my love of Maine. If you've read any Elizabeth Strout and have any opinions on which I should read first, by the time this airs, I will have already made a choice because I'm finishing Horns tonight. But I'd love to hear from you down in the comments, always. And if you have any other recommendations on reading or what you'd like to hear me talk about, please let me know down in the comments and I'll cater to you. As always, if you made it with me this far, thank you for sticking with me on my journey. I do not know why I'm holding the clicker to my phone camera, but I am. So anyway, happy reading.